Okay, this video we're gonna talk about selectors. So before we start, let's get some clarification. Basically, this is the document I have written, and it becomes like this. Okay, because of some styling I added here, I put padding 20 and border size and font size. That's why they have a larger font size. The padding is the area between this thing, and then the border is the border around it. Okay, so what we have to know is that each tag like this, we call this an element or node, whichever you prefer. So usually I'll use the term element. So this is an element. So this element belongs to this element, and one element can contain many elements. So a tag um, usually represents an element in the body of the document. Okay, so what are selectors? Selectors is basically, let's say we want to style a specific element. How do we specify which element we want to style? So a selector is a series of, let's say, it's like a query to select which collection of elements you want to style. Okay, so again, I may be confusing right now. Once I demonstrate it, it should be less confusing. So there's three main ways we can three basic way to specify a element or collection of elements. Okay, so the first way is obviously to mention which type you want. So as you can see from here, this is a CSS selector. So div will say that all divs in our document will have this type of styling. So okay, for those that is unfamiliar with CSS, this is the style. This is the style name and this is the style value. So basically what it means is the font size is 50 pixel, the padding is 20 pixel, and etc. Okay, so what you specify here is the selector. So this will select all elements from the document and provide it with this style. Okay, so there's three basic types of selectors. Okay, so the first type of selector is the tag name selector. As you can tell, this is the tag name selector. So for example, I can say that all spans have the background color of orange. And you will refresh the page and you will see that because this is the only element that has the tag name span, you will get this. So for example, if I change this to div, I'll expect this whole thing to become orange color. Let me refresh and show you. Yeah, because all of them matches the div selector. Okay, so the second type of selector is ID. So this is where the ID come in. An ID has to be unique to an element. That means that in this whole document, only one element can have the ID of pink. So the ID has to be unique. No two elements can have the same ID. So when you have an ID, you can refer to this specific element to have the ID. So to specify ID, you use the hashtag sign. Okay, so let's specify the ID pink, which will be this element to have orange. So if I will put this refresh, only this element, which is box 3, will get the ID. Okay. Next is the class selector. So well, ID is more like a national ID. Everybody only gets one. It's a unique identifier. Class is more like a label. You can label your elements. So for example, I label this class to be blue and green. So to add multiple labels, you just add space. So if I want a third label, you can add space. So there's some restriction to what ID and names can use. I think they can only be underscore, characters, numbers, and dash. I don't think you can have anything else. Okay, and you cannot start with a number. I don't think you can start. Maybe you can. I'm not sure. Okay. Uh, so to select specifically classes, you can use dot. Okay, so for example, I want to have, what I'm saying is that all elements with the class of green, which is all with the label of green, should have the background color green. Makes sense, right? Okay, so you see that because this, okay, let's remove this first, not confuse you. Because this has green, this has green, this has green, this has green. It's box 6, box 7, box 4, and box 3 have the label green or the class green. They would get the style of this, which is changing the background color to green. Okay, I can even though it's green, I can change it to blue, and it will become blue. So what I'm saying is that all elements with the class or label green will have a background color of blue. So if you can tell here. Okay, so this is what we call basic selector. So there's three types. Okay, so let's recap a little bit. There's three types of selectors. three basic types. Okay, there's a lot of other types, okay, but let's just talk about three basic types. Three basic types, which is text selectors, where you just put their name. And there's the class selectors, where you put a dot sign, and then there's the ID selector, where you put a hashtag sign. Okay, so these are the three basic selectors. So this is what we call basic selectors. Now I want to talk about complex selectors. So you can use a combination of these different types of selectors to specify things. So for example, I want to have all divs to have a blue background, but I only want it within this div. So what I can do, this is called a nested selector. So I want to say, okay, so what this means is that in the element which has the class read, all elements with the class read, in other words, only this element, the divs inside, all divs inside can have this property, which is, let's say, the background color blue. So let's just remove the top. Let's not use green. So lavender, let's say side. Okay, and you see that even though all these are divs, only the divs here get the cyan. Okay, see, so this is what we call a nested selector. So you say that all divs within a red dot red. You can even nest this even further. You can put like dot yellow dot red, and you say you have somewhere else that has a. Let's just copy this out, right? Okay, let's remove the ID because you cannot replicate IDs. Okay, even though these are divs inside red, but they are not in yellow, so it's not nested in yellow, they wouldn't get, see, they wouldn't get the styling. So this is the first type of complex, is nested. So let's write it down. So we'll talk about three complex selectors. Okay, so the first type is nested. So nested means you can say dot read and something like that. Okay, so you talk about elements within another type of elements. So this can be any selector. This can be an ID. This can be a div, whichever. Okay, so this is called nested selectors. So next one we're going to talk about is composite selectors. So it's the other way around. So instead of having a space in between, you talk about composite. So what composite means is that, okay, so let's look at the sorry, let's not confuse you. I'm going to remove this so it's not to be confusing. Okay, so let's look at the blue class, right? So if I were to say that the blue class needs to have a color of pink. Okay, so color means the text color. Okay, you realize that all the blue class, which is this two elements, this element and this bottom two elements, their text will be pink. So what I can do is I can make it more specific by saying a composite element. I want to have div and, so you can think of it as like an and. So div and blue, then it can be pink. Okay, so this means that since this is a span, although it's a blue, it will not get it anymore. So it will remove. Okay, you can change this even more. For example, let's remove green from this one. So let's say we can change it to, it has to have blue and green. Okay, then you realize that since this one only has blue, it no longer gets the pink color styling. Okay, so this is what we call composite. You basically think of it as a and symbol, like A and D and. Okay, like this ampersand. Okay, so what this means is that it has to have green, blue, and you can add hashtag aqua, for example. Basically, you can chain as many as you want, but you start with the tag, and then you can dot something and hashtag something. You can add it as many as you want. Okay, so this is called a composite selector. Okay, then the last one we're going to talk about is multiple selectors. So, for example, I want to have dot sign and dot blue, right? I want both of them to have orange color text. So what this means is that both cyan and blue will get orange color text. Okay, so this means that since although this doesn't have blue, this will become orange. Although this doesn't have cyan, this will become orange because both blue and cyan. So this is basically a comma is more like an or sign. It's like a or sign, or operator. Okay, so basically you're saying either it has a cyan or it has a blue class, you can get it. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a class. It can be a tag. It can be or aqua, right? Yeah. So you see that this and this will have it because this has aqua and this has cyan. Okay. You can use. Okay. Then so the last one is basically multiple, right? So basically it's about a common sign. Okay, so the thing is you can merge all these three together. So technically you can do a combination. So for example, I can say div aqua dot e. Yeah, I can do something like that. So this is a composite, this is a nest, and then you use it in a multiple. You can combine them together. Okay, so these are the three basic types of selectors we can use. Okay, so this will be the end of this video. So basically what today we learn is how to use selectors. There's basically the basic type and the complex type. There's three basic and three complex. There's actually a lot more, but we will just stop here today.